Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tech Talk with NextRealm AI. I'm your host, Tom Bustamante. Join me as we explore some of the newest technologies and investment opportunities of tomorrow. Sit back, subscribe, and let the journey begin. Good afternoon. This is Tom Bustamante with AI Venturetech, and welcome to Tech Talk. Today we're speaking with Craig Smith, the Executive Director of the Oklahoma Space Industry Development Authority, or SIDA for short. Craig, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate you having me on, sir.
Sure. Okay, I must admit I'm super excited to be speaking with you today about this project. Ever since I came across your Spaceport project, it has really caught my imagination on all the potential possibilities this may hold. For example, SIDA is one of only 13 spaceports in the nation and home to one of the longest and widest runways in the country. SIDA is also a control agency for the Infinity One spaceflight corridor, which is 152 miles long, if I'm not mistaken, and was considered an alternative landing site for the U.S. Space Shuttle program. Now, talk about exciting. Exactly. But before we get started, I wondered if you could give us a quick overview of the Oklahoma Space Authority. As a state agency, what is your core mission?
You bet. So it's pretty remarkable in Oklahoma. This is what is often referred to by folks on both coasts as flyover country. So in 1999, the legislature in Oklahoma at that time was controlled by one party. The governor was controlled by the other party. And they still were able to come together 23 years ago and say, I think we've got the capability to have a spaceport in Oklahoma. We've got an asset. It's a former Naval Air Station, and then it became an Air Force Strategic Air Command SAC base, Air Force SAC base in the 50s and 60s. And that's where we have this freakishly long runway of 13,503 feet long by 300 feet wide. And as you said, it's the fourth longest civilian runway in North America. And so a legislature controlled by one party passed legislation through both chambers and got it signed by a governor of another party and established the Oklahoma Space Industry Development Authority. So we're a state agency, and in 1999 they did that, and then it took a few years after that, working with the FAA, Office of Commercial Space, and my predecessor, who was a commercial pilot himself, he worked with the FAA to jump through all the hoops and check all the boxes for FAA, Office of Commercial Space, to provide us and for us to earn a spaceport license. And we got that in 2006. We were the very first state in the United States, and the very first inland state in the United States, I should say, that was landlocked to get a spaceport license. So it's pretty remarkable. And at the time, in 99 and 2000, the early 2000s, it was only the United States and Russia putting anything into space. And so it was pretty forward thinking for the legislature in Oklahoma to create an agency to acquire this facility and then to get our spaceport license. And now we have 13 spaceports. And I tell folks often, spaceports are kind of like brown cats. There's not a lot of them, and only 9 states currently have one of these things. And so this is an incredible opportunity for up and starting space companies. And there are more and more every day and every week. And venture capitalists are funding these left and right, trying to do other things. And now we have billionaires putting things into space that 20 years ago was unheard of. So lots of great opportunity, and we've got a great facility here that has a lot of potential.
Yeah, there's no doubt is obviously what's going on is super exciting. I mean, with the stuff that's going on with SpaceX and Virgin Galactic and Blue Origin. But from what I understand, SIDA has an FAA license for launching horizontal suborbital vehicles. Can you tell us a little about that? And what sort of vehicles would that include?
Certainly, yeah. When we got our spaceport license in 2006, and again being one of the first ones, and being a landlocked state, most of the spaceports at the time, and still remain, most of them are on the coasts. In the old regime of putting things into space, there were vertical rockets. A booster was discharged and fall into the ocean and maybe be recovered, but maybe just sink to the ocean, whatever. Ours was designed with that incredibly long runway, that 13,500 foot runway, It was designed and licensed to be a horizontal facility, a horizontal spaceport. And that's where the necessity of a space flight corridor that you referenced, that 152-mile corridor. And again, my predecessor, being a commercial pilot, a retired commercial pilot, worked with aeronautical maps and worked with the FAA and worked with the military and devised this pathway. It's like I said, 152 miles long, 50 miles wide. It has a northwest and a polar trajectory, which is unique because the spaceports on the coast all have southern trajectories. And I'm not a rocket scientist, but the ones that I speak with tell me that having a northwest or having a trajectory that puts you into low Earth orbit over the pole as an incredible asset, because you can get goods, personnel, whatever, around to any point in the Earth in under 2 hours. And so that's our special sauce, is that this corridor, which is ours, that we control from the surface of the Earth all the way into outer space, we call it the Infinity One, and that provides a vehicle manufacturer to put or return their vehicle from Oklahoma or back to Oklahoma in this spaceport. So we could land something like the Virgin Galactic or something like the Dream Chaser, or take those off from our facility. I mean, the runway is incredibly long for landings or takeoffs. And then I'm told also that the Office of Commercial Space says, well, you've got a spaceport license. It's up to the vehicle manufacturer to get the certifications and licenses to launch their vehicle from your facility, whether it be horizontal or vertical. So there's a potential for that as well. If they can get their certifications and they can provide the assurance to FAA that they've got a safe mechanism. And 20 years ago, 25 years ago, that was unheard of. But now we're seeing boosters land within steps of where they took off from. So it's remarkable, the potential that's out there.
I saw when Shatner went up on the Blue Origin. It was a vertical launch, the Blue Origin, and from Amazon's Blue Origin. And when it came back down, it was not more than maybe a mile or two from the launch pad.
Or landed on a barge out in the ocean. It's with SpaceX, with the Dragon. I mean, it really, and then actually, you said with the whole polar aspect, being able to kind of hit points on the Earth easier. I mean, you can almost kind of foresee something like this becoming kind of like the JF Kennedy Airport or an international airport centered right in the U.S. in Oklahoma. The capability for low Earth, point-to-point, high-speed transportation is potentially the next wave of the future. I mean, to be able to get people or items or logistical equipment, for a disaster, for defense, for pleasure, for travel, whatever it may be, in under a couple of hours, is a game changer. I mean, if you're traveling to Paris, it was all day in an airport, and then all day in the sky, and then a good portion of the next day on the ground. So to be able to do that in just a few hours, spaceports are now where airports were in probably the 1910s.
Yeah, that's how I see it. It's kind of like these spaceports, like Kennedy Airport, and then inside Kennedy Airport, you have different airlines, Delta, Air American Airlines, JetBlue, and they all have port, and it's a major port of transportation. But I understand OSIDA is also looking to develop a facility into an industrial park around the spaceport facility for aerospace testing and research. Can you tell us some more about this plan? And what could this mean, not just for immediate local jobs, but longer term, such as positioning Oklahoma as a player in the emerging commercial space industry?
Absolutely. And the asset that we have, it's a former Naval Air Station that became an Air Force Strategic Air Command base. So when it was a base, it had everything that a small city has. It had roads, it had water, wastewater, electricity, natural gas, and today we've piped in fiber optics to the system as well. So we have the existing infrastructure that was there when the base was there, and the base had everything. It had a movie theater, it had a library, it had nightclubs, it had medical clinics, it had housing. So most of that land is still ours. That's what we've turned into our industrial park. And so that is, and it's adjacent to the airfield and the runways. So we've got the entirety of the facility is 2,700 acres. The industrial park alone is 1,100 acres. And so we can subdivide and plat that and make that available for lease and development for a number of companies, any kind of number of companies. We've got a few tenants out there already. We still have a golf course, a 9-hole golf course. We have a restaurant. We still have a medical clinic here. But there's some other tenants that we have. We have some companies that do manufacturing for the energy sector. And so we've got some tenants on the park, but there's still plenty of room to grow and develop for other industries to come in if they wanted to do manufacturing or assembly or testing. And you can make, we're in a rural part of Oklahoma, southwest Oklahoma. We're about an hour and a half west of Oklahoma City, between Amarillo and Oklahoma City, just off of historic Route 66. So we've got Interstate 40 that passes just 7 miles north of us. We have a major state highway that goes north and south about a mile from us that abuts to our industrial park. So, and then you have a huge runway that you can bring equipment and gear and cargo and items into for assembly. It's an uncut gem waiting for the potential tenants and the right tenants to come in and say, I think I can make an impact here. I think we can make something of this. And you've got an incredible workforce that's willing to drive and operate and utilize this facility. And so aerospace in Oklahoma has now climbed to the second largest economic engine in the state. Energy remains number one. Aerospace has overtaken agriculture, and energy, we all know, has waves, ups and downs. Aerospace continues to climb, and we've got the largest commercial MRO, that's maintenance, repair, and overhaul, in American Airlines in Tulsa, Oklahoma. We have 7 military installations, including the largest MRO for the Air Force at Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma City. And then every day I've got pilots that are doing training out of Altus Air Force Base and Vance Air Force Base, doing touch and goes on my runway every day. And so there is a lot of aerospace in Oklahoma, and it continues to grow. And if you look at aerospace history in Oklahoma, it's incredibly rich as well. We've got astronauts, we've got pilots, Wiley Post, the Braniff brothers, Phillips 66 and low lead gasoline. There's so much history, and I like to refer to Oklahoma as the frontier of flight, because the Oklahoma's Wild West days of the yesteryear. We're still on the cutting edge and doing wild and incredible things in aerospace in this state. So it's exciting. It's exciting to be here.
Well, it's funny you said it, because actually just doing a little bit of research on what's going on in Oklahoma and kind of like the University of Oklahoma, they have a very big aerospace department for students. Obviously now with the state being number 2, and a lot of that includes rocket propulsion and, rocket science and things like that. So I always imagined to truly successful see some of these programs like these go, whether it be SpaceX or whatever space kind of projects are going. It's a kind of a combination of private, obviously public, and academic. If you can get those 3 together into a project, that's the winning combo, in my thinking.
And we're working on those things. There's some progress being made in that field. And Oklahoma State University is a national leader in drone technology and in aerospace. And as you said, the University of Oklahoma, and then also some other assets that are often forgotten about in the state of Oklahoma are the Mike Monroney Aeronautical Center. That's the FAA component here. That is the largest contingent of DOT employees outside of Washington, D.C., right here in Oklahoma City. And every aspect of the FAA is represented at this facility. Every air traffic controller has to come through Oklahoma City for the academy there. The registry for the FAA is housed and based right here in Oklahoma City. And the Civil Aeronautics Medical Institute is based in Oklahoma City. That's where they do the testing on the impacts to the human body of flight. And we work really closely with them, because what are the impacts to the human body on space flight, on low orbit flights? And then you've got the National Weather Center based in Norman, Oklahoma as well. So you have, an incredible potential and of course, we're right here in the center of the United States.
Yeah. Well, what's going on, what you guys are doing at the Oklahoma Space Industry Development Authority is super excited. And I definitely want to kind of follow up with you going through the rest, through the year as things develop, because there's no doubt about where commercial space development is coming. And I'm sure you're going to be able to have your pulse on what's going on in Oklahoma. And we'd love to have you come back in the future.
Tom, thank you for the opportunity. Look forward to the visit again.
Absolutely. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we were speaking with Craig Smith, the Executive Director of the Oklahoma Space Industrial Development Authority. And this has been Tom Bustamante from AI Venturetech and Spaceport.